Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you had a good lunch, are still awake, made it back. We're here to get started for this afternoon sessions. Okay, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Stephanie Dalton from the Program Development and Accreditation Academic, who's the after lunch. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Stephanie Dalton, the Program Development Accreditation Academic Manager here at UDST, for our next presentation entitled eLumen Curriculum Management Streamlining Academic Planning and Assessment. Stephanie?
Thank you for all coming back from lunch. Is Fedi Abadade in the office, in the audience? So you no longer have to introduce me to everyone here. It's just been done. Thank you. So during the lunch, every time I turned around, Fedi was introducing me to somebody different. I guess I should have figured out how to use this. Big button? The big button. So the title of our session today is Streamlining Academic Planning and Assessment at UDST. So hopefully there's something in here for everyone, and it will make your lives a little easier as we move into the future. I know that faculty workloads have gone up over the past number of years. Student numbers are increasing, and I'm sure that anything that we can do to make your lives easier will be appreciated. So the purpose of this session is to introduce you to new improvements that are coming with our curriculum management system, eLumen. So before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in academia for 43 years, continuous employment. I was one of those fortunate ones who was able to do my education at the same time that I was working full time. But my first job was in admission and registration department. And some of you, perhaps none of you, will remember a day when we used to have the punch cards. So my role was to provide all of our heads of departments with punch cards that they would then distribute in the gym of the university, and students would go around and pick up those punch cards, and we would feed them into the system, and it would enroll them in their courses. So that's a long time ago. We obviously had a lot of advances in the last number of years. So, but I've worked throughout academia. I've been in the School of Graduate Studies, budgets and audits, and a number of academic units. So I have a depth and breadth in academia. But one thing I don't have is the ability to develop a PowerPoint. And when my curriculum management specialist, Shazad Khan, offered to prepare my presentation, I graciously accepted. So when I got it and I saw all the fancy bells and whistles and buttons, I was very appreciative. And I said, it tells a story. You've taken my words and you've created a story. But I said, one thing has to go. I said, the color. He said, you don't like it? And I said, well, perhaps if you tell me why you picked it, it might help. So he proceeded to tell me that everyone will be coming back from lunch. They'll be tired. And this is a color that people will remember. They will remember this presentation because of the color. So to test his theory, I tried to rack my brain for the number of times that I must have seen this color in the past, and I could not. So I thought back over the last 43 years, and I could not remember having, or 30 years, and could not remember having seen this color. But as I was about to tell him that his theory was inaccurate, I realized that I did see this color, perhaps more often than I would have liked. And it was about 35 years ago, but it was not on a PowerPoint. It was on my newborn son's diaper when I brought him home from the hospital. So hopefully you remember this session. What? So why do we have a curriculum management system? So we have spent, we spent initially about 6 months investigating a curriculum management system and consulted with deans, heads of departments to identify one that we thought would meet the needs of UDST. And eventually we came up with one called eLumen, and we've been about a year implementing it. So what will it do for us? One of the things it will do is it will dynamically align our curriculum so that there is one source of truth in the university. As many of you have probably pointed out to the program development accreditation, there have been times when the academic catalog is not the same as what's on our website. Your syllabi might reflect something different. It's not the same information that's in admission and registration. So maintaining the academic curriculum of our, maintaining the integrity of our academic curriculum is important, particularly as we go for accreditation. So this system will allow us, or you as faculty, you are the owners of the curriculum, to make changes in the academic units and have them flow dynamically throughout the entire system. So when you log in and you decide to change a title in your course of record, that will alert you to the fact that that course might appear in many other courses in different program structures. So it will prompt you to ask, are you sure? Are you okay? This course appears in 15 other program structures, and what you're doing to this course will impact other colleges and programs around the university. Up to this point, that's been a manual process. When PDA receives a change request, we have to search using, Control F in the academic catalog and try to identify it, every other program that course appears. So it's a laborious manual process. This system will do that dynamically. So to give you a sense of the magnitude of the work that was involved in doing this and what it means for the university, we have in our course master syllabi, as many of you will know, there's over 30 data points in every single course master syllabi. We also have probably more than 1,000 courses at the moment, and that appear in over 70 programs. So if you take all of that in consideration, there was over 30,000 data points in our curriculum, and that's only to internally align the curriculum so that what you saw in a syllabi or syllabus was the same as what appeared in the program structure and was the same as what appeared in admission and registration. So we, over the past year, have, with the help of admission and registration and the IT department, aligned that curriculum not only internally with those 30,000 data points, but across a variety of systems here in the university. So with the help of IT, in the fall of 2023, we collected every single syllabi that's delivered here in the university, and manually, or not manually, I'm sorry, Greg Jenkins from IT scraped the data from those syllabi, compared it to the information that's in our academic catalog, compared it to the information that's published on our website, compared it to the information that's in PeopleSoft and on our SharePoint site. And every time there was a discrepancy, we reached out to you, our faculty, to determine what the actual data was, so to ensure that our curriculum was accurate. And where we identified a discrepancy, we changed it in every one of those systems. So not only does it flow through those 6 different systems, there's also our information appears in a variety of other reports that we prepare for executive, that we prepare for the ministry, that we prepare for accreditors, that we publish in our comprehensive program proposal. So every time, and what you put in your CLO, SLO analysis sheets, again, you pull those CLOs from the syllabi and put them in your CLO analysis. So it appears throughout the university in all of our curriculum. And when that is out of line or out of sync, then that means that you as faculty are making less than perfect informed decisions about that data, which is not accurate. So at the end of the day, we aligned hundreds of thousands of pieces of data to ensure that that curriculum is the same throughout the university. So our goal at this point, now that the system is accurate, all of our systems are aligned, is to maintain our first point or interest is in maintaining the integrity of that curriculum. So ensuring that the only people who can change that information are those who have access to it, and that the information that is changed will go through an approval process. So the system will automatically feed specific pieces of information, and that, although I have up there in the right-hand corner that I have course master syllabi that should actually be PeopleSoft. So it will feed specific pieces of information to PeopleSoft so that what's in the curriculum management system will appear identical to PeopleSoft. Right now, we have situations where students have graduated and have transcripts that have titles of courses that never existed at the university or that are not in sync with our academic catalog or various other pieces of information. It will also automatically publish that information in our e-catalog. So the system has an e-catalog that will be accessible to everyone, where you can look through by semester, by program, to see what our current curriculum is. It will also publish it automatically on the website. Right now, all of that information is done manually. We send Excel files to admission and registration who manually enter that information into the system. Of course, all of those manual processes are subject to errors. We also we're in the process, and while we're not quite there yet, we believe we have a technical solution with the help of our curriculum management specialists and our IT department to be able to feed that information from the course of record from eLumen right into your course master syllabi, and by logical extension to the student syllabi, which will contain a few other pieces of information that you may enter, your faculty office hours, where your room is, where your classroom is being taught, and also into D2L. So our hope is that we will soon be able to produce that syllabi and put it directly into your D2L shell, so you no longer have to wonder, what am I teaching this semester? Where do I get it from? Is it the same as last semester? And you don't have to worry whether you have the current information. So in addition to all of that, the system will streamline our academic processes. So everything from program development through to accreditation, annual program review, your curricular change process. So we will no longer have to worry whether that information is accurate throughout. Right now, we receive a number of pieces of documentation. Actually, before anything goes out for publication, it goes through my office. And we employ 3 students an entire year simply to be checking to make sure that the information in your CPP or that you produced for marketing is the same information and identical to what's in the academic catalog. So that will be done dynamically in the future. So starting with program development, we're hoping to roll this out in the fall of 2025 for the new program development process. So the system itself, for all of those of you who have written a CPP or writing a CPP now or will be writing one in the future, eLumen will have the tools that you need to create that inside the system. So there'll be templates, schedule reminders. It will allow for curriculum mapping, and I'll talk about that a little bit further. So one of the things, some of you who have written CPPs will remember those big Excel spreadsheets where your CLOs and SRLOs were on the vertical axis, and all of our mapping to the QNF was on the horizontal axis, and you had to fill in something like 70,000 data points in order to map your curriculum. That will now be done intuitively or with visual graphics online. It will also allow for internal or external stakeholder consultation. So if you choose to have people within your faculty develop that curriculum together, or whether you want the library to weigh in to ensure that you have the textbooks that you're incorporating into your curriculum, or finance to review your projections to make sure that you have sufficient funding. All of that can be done online in real time. And it will also be the initial stage of data collection for the university. So your subject matter experts who are creating that curriculum will be the first point of entry where that curriculum will be captured, and upon approval will be part of the permanent record of the university with audit trails to track every single change to that curriculum. So these are some examples of the reports that you will see. So no longer will you have unwieldy Word documents that need to generate tables of contents and are not intuitive of what actually goes in the box. These templates will help guide you through that with information buttons on them. So those of you who are familiar with our benchmarks and standards of 35 to 40 documents that you need to review to figure out how to write a learning outcome or course description. These will all be in information boxes on these templates that at any time you can click and see what exactly are they looking for in this little box. And you no longer have to wonder whether you have the right template. We have gone through multiple iterations of our CPP, PPP templates, and often we'll get a proposal that doesn't follow the particularly approved template. So those worries will no longer be part of our academic planning. This is one of the powerhouses of the curriculum management system, is the visual creation of curriculum maps. So I'm going to walk over here because the light is in my eye, sorry. So the visual creation of curriculum maps will be like it is here on the screen. So we will see once you enter your curriculum, and it's a protocol, so you can hear me. Okay. So once you enter your curriculum and it's approved, goes to the external review process, the elements of that curriculum that are important for your learning outcomes assessment and your mapping will appear automatically on your visual map. So your student learning outcomes will, Can you hear me? Okay, good. So the student learning outcomes that you've made as part of your curriculum will appear on the screen, and your course learning outcomes or other outcomes of National Qualifications Framework, third-party standards, anything to which you wish your curriculum to align will appear in the matrix. So your head of department or your subject matter experts, whoever's developing the curriculum, can automatically click in the box where you want to have that curriculum assessed. So it will be then dynamic, that will flow throughout the entire system and through to the assessment process. It also has the ability to consolidate information. For example, the College of General Education, if it decides that it wants its own SLOs and wants to assess certain courses that are part of that curriculum, it can then include courses from other departments that are delivering College of General Education aligned courses. Or if the university decides that it wants to assess how we're doing in entrepreneurship or sustainable development goals or any other aspects that it wants to meet the ministry or state needs, it can do that through the system and at any time pull up and see how students around the university are out there, whether they're achieving those outcomes. It also allows for the proactive planning of assessments. So you can decide whether you want to assess your programs on a cyclical basis or to assess every course every semester. So you don't have to worry about bringing forward for the fall or winter or spring. At the outset, when you develop your curriculum and you know how you're going to assess it, you can put those parameters in right away. So every semester when it rolls around, it will know that you want to assess those CLOs or SLOs. So we'll have proactive forward planning. It also have another thing that will be important to most of you is that it has a dynamic curricular change process. So right now, many of you are, in order to submit a change, you identify a change as a faculty member. You pull down a Word document. My age is showing Word perfect. You'll pull down a Word document and you'll enter it in a not too well developed template that will wrap and roll and do all kinds of things. And then you'll submit it to program development through an email system where you hope that we will be able to get to it in time and process it for the next semester. And PDA will pull down that curriculum change request and try to figure out how many programs it impacts through Control F searches in our academic catalog and notify those other departments. This will now all be automatic throughout the system. So we'll put the ability to change a curriculum back in the hands of faculty where it resides. So you will, or your department head or your dean, whatever we decide, this system is still under configuration. Nothing is designed at this stage. It's all open for discussion. So they will enter the curricular change and it will go through a workflow process. So PDA will no longer be involved in it. It may assign a level of approval or who it needs to go to, but we will not, and we never have approved the curriculum, but it now makes it transparent that curricular changes reside with the faculty. It will have the ability to track changes. So as a head of department or faculty member, if you receive a curricular change for a course that's been in play for 5 years, you can look back at that history and say, okay, we've changed that last year and the year before, and we tried that, and now we're changing it back, or we want to make something different. So you can actually look at the history of those curricular changes and assess whether you want to move something forward. It will also provide an audit trail for our auditors who audit us on an annual basis and provide the information we need for our accreditors who often ask to see the data of how our curricular changes have evolved over time. So we'll have an authority matrix workflow. So we are now currently working with the deans to determine who will be the individuals who will actually, how we'll define the roles, who will enter, who will approve. This change will be submitted. And once the approval is obtained by the appropriate levels, then it will integrate the powerhouse of this system is then once that approval is clicked, it will update in our academic catalog on our website. It will be fed to PeopleSoft, and hopefully your syllabi will be updated and populated in D2L. So we will maintain that one source of truth. So the only ones who will be able to change the data in the future will be at the faculty level. It also has a learning outcomes assessment functionality, which I hope will alleviate or eliminate the need to create those awful CLO, SLO analysis spreadsheets that you're doing. So it allows you to do multi-level and cross-level college assessment, but it also has a functionality where you can either aggregate that right up to the college level or disaggregate it down to the course level and even to sub-levels to look at demographically how are students performing. How are students who come from one country comparing versus to another? How are the English speakers comparing to the non-English speakers? How are the males performing relative to the females? So you can actually inform your teaching and learning process. It has centralized automatic assessments with automated rubrics, but also the potential for you to, or the ability for you to modify those to meet your needs and to customize it. It also has ability to do, for you to do longitudinal data analysis. So it takes the busy work out of your jobs and allows you to view the data and metrics that are on the system to make informed decisions so you can enhance the teaching learning process. This is just an example of one of the pre-built rubrics. So it has your mastery level across the top, your assessment scale across the top, the performance descriptions, and your student learning outcomes. So this is an example of one from the system. It's by no means prescriptive. You can customize that in any way that you like. So this is how assessment will be performed. So once you design your rubrics, you develop your program, you've mapped your assessments, it will actually pull there on the vertical axis, you'll see your student list. So we'll automatically pull those student names right from PeopleSoft and populate them in your matrix. It will pull your rubric from eLumen, which is again your assessment across the top and all your performance metric or your performance criteria. So as a faculty member, you can look at every student on an individual basis and mark them on that grid. So, and this will be consolidated through the system with metrics and rubric and with metrics and graphs. So once you are used to that, obviously this is a bit of an unwieldy template, but once you have that rubric internalized, then you could move to a scorecard view, which will allow you to do that a little easier. It'll also have an improved annual cyclical program review process. So again, like our program development process, it will be automated with templates and workflows, facilitate long-term or real-time stakeholder collaboration. It will also allow for another benefit of the system is that as you do your as you do your cyclical and program review, you can pull those metrics from your learning outcomes assessment right into your reports. So this will be, just an example, your annual template. As a program curriculum committee, you want to, or as a head of a department, you want to know how your program is doing. You can design a template to capture that information. So this is what you will populate to assess your program on an annual basis, but you can pull those metrics right from within eLumen and populate that template. So there's no need to go outside of the system to consolidate the report. Same thing with cyclical program review. The other thing the system will have is a faculty self-reflections, and this can be either identified or anonymous. So this again is a template, whatever we design or you design can be collected through the system, and it will allow you to do it on an automated basis, either anonymous or identified. And then as a head of department, as you compile or pull together those faculty self-reflections, this again will be automated in the system where you can print the report, bring it to your program curriculum committee, along with your data and graphs from your learning outcomes assessment, and make informed decisions of changes to your curriculum. It also has improved accreditation and reporting on the same principle of our CPP, PPP, annual and cyclical report development. These will be captured in the system with templates and provide you with the audit trail and the evidence you need for accreditation reporting. So the other thing it does is it has powerful analytics and reporting, and these are only the reports that are available in the system. It has the ability to be married with Tableau and Power BI to create even more dynamic graphs and analysis. So this is for accreditation purposes and dashboards to do your assessment. You can do the longitudinal analysis of your learning outcomes and how students are performing over time. And you have the option then to either do it as data or graphical. So on this one here, you will see that you have your learning outcomes there along down the side, your student learning outcomes, and your KPI then will be your second column, your default performance measure for your students. So whether you want 70% achievement, 75% achievement, and then your longitudinal data across the top. So you can say that for 70%, that if you want 70% default performance, you can say that 70% of students or 30, 40, 46% of students either met or exceeded expectations at the 70% level. And again, then you can do graphical reporting and pull those right into your reports. So I think that's all for me today. I don't know if you have any questions. Hopefully there's something in there to help you or to alleviate your stress over the winter semester. Oh, okay. In terms of go live, so we will be, sorry about that, in the winter semester, we will be not piloting, we will be rolling out the program and course change request procedure. So as a head of department, we will be bringing the heads of departments in over the winter semester, early January, to provide training on how to enter those changes into the system and then move them through. So what you need to know is that the change or the deadline for the fall of 2025. So because we publish our academic calendar in February and probably March and April, it's important that all of the changes for fall of 2025 are in the system and have been approved by that time. So in January, we will be bringing the department heads together and showing them a workshop how to enter those changes. And then there will be go through the approval process where necessary. The department heads will give their approvals. If they need to go through the university curriculum committee or college curriculum committee, they will work through that process. So that will be in the winter. In the fall of 2025, we will be rolling out the annual review, cyclical program review, and the learning outcomes assessment. The learning outcomes assessment will be totally up to you whether you choose to use the model that's in the system. We're recommending that the new programs would use it as opposed to programs that are already in progress, because I know that you've collected data and you want to have comparative data over time. So completely up to you. If you want to use the learning outcomes assessment right away, that's fine. But we'll be rolling that out in the fall semester. Questions? Thank you.